going to look back to a few years back and think that it was quaint how even some figures on the right had some mild allegiance to the truth.
What's going on, you guys? So we have Brian Tyler Cohen and Destiny. They're ripping apart some right-wing nut jobs as usual. Yeah, Brian Tyler Cohen and Destiny, they make the perfect team. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Steeped further in the hell that we live in.
I mean, like, there's, I mean, I don't know what I can even say. It's going to be a circus for 4 years, which is maybe better. Maybe that's good because everything's going to be just such a cluster that nobody's actually going to be able to like get anything done. And you're going to have an RFK to the side being like, I got rid of the FDA. And then you've got like Gates is like, okay, well, I was trying to prosecute like all the people there and I need their address. And then you've got it's a clown show. I don't even know. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah.
I'm curious what you think of, because there is like a contingent of people that is like, let these people, like, Democrats shouldn't block anything. They should just let this circus thrive. And I mean, it's just going to be steeped in incompetence anyway. And he's going to impose his tariffs and it's going to send costs skyrocketing. And so just what about the contingent of people who say, just let him do it, let him fail, and don't have the Democrats there to prevent him from hurting himself, basically, his own political prospects? I'm just curious, like, what you think on that.
Okay, I'm gonna be a broken record on this, and I see your YouTube chat, so you've heard me a million times say this, but I'm just gonna say this again. The most important thing is the media atmosphere, okay? The only thing that scares me about what you're saying is that it doesn't, like the reality you perceive around you, it's constructed in the mind, right? Whether or not something is there, whether or not you hear something, see something, like all of these things are images that are put together in your brain, and that's the only place that reality really matters. So if Democrats do a thing and they let Trump run amok and he destroys a whole bunch of stuff, and then a Democrat president comes in afterwards, the only thing that matters is, or the most important thing is, voters have to perceive that it was the Republicans' fault. And that's really difficult. And if you don't have a reign or a hold on the reins of the media environment, then you might end up in a world where you do exactly that. The Democrats are like, fine, take it, have these people do this, and the country runs okay or whatever, and then maybe the economy's just not as great, or Trump can't run again, maybe, and then the Democrat wins in the next term, and then because of all those residual effects of the undermining of all of our institutions, now the country runs into significant problems.
And yeah, I mean, that's exactly what's happening. The entire cabinet, his entire office is just it's a clown show. It's completely see-through. They're not even hiding it where the billionaires have power. He literally has an office for Elon Musk in the White House.
Well, guess what? The Democrat is going to be blamed for it, and then a Republican is going to come in. So if Democrats want to go that route, that's fine, but we got to have some kind of accountability mechanisms. We have to be able to track, like, what are the decisions that you're making and how are they turning out, good or bad? Like, that's what has to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel as like this is like the full cynic in me, but I feel like we were so far beyond that. I mean, we saw in the first administration how he was like, oh, I'm going to build 3,000 miles of wall, and he ended up building 52 miles of wall, and everybody completely just unquestioningly said that he built the wall on the southern border. Like, if you exist inside the right-wing media ecosystem, you don't know that Donald Trump only built 52 miles of wall. You think there's like full wall and it's magnified and has, like, it is completely unpassable. But like that was years ago, and now, I mean, I just copied something that shows what the media environment is like. Let me pull it up real quick. It shows what the media environment is like right now. And this is different from a few years ago. So news influencers who explicitly lean right outpace those who publicly identify with the left across social media sites, every social media site except for TikTok. So Facebook is 39% Republican to 13% Democrat.
Sure.
Instagram is 30% Republican to 25% Democrat. Twitter, X is 28 to 21 Republicans. YouTube is 28 to 21 in Republicans' favor. The only one where Democrats or left-wingers outpace right-wingers is TikTok, 25 to 28. So like that's going to flip in 5 minutes from now too. And so the same ecosystem that years ago allowed Trump to get away with saying that he built, 3,000 miles of border wall, even though he only built 50 miles of border wall. Think about what it's going to look like now. Years past, like with even more control over the media, even less discerning people in those right-wing media spaces, and just like a few more years in this post-truth era, like real like.
If this is your cup of tea, like and subscribe for more.
We're gonna look back to a few years back and think that it was quaint how even some figures on the right had some mild allegiance to the truth, and that's gonna go away moving forward. And so yeah, like to your point, I don't know what that mechanism is to hold people accountable, because like we're at a point where it's not disqualifying in any regard for anybody in the right-wing media ecosystem to say whatever they want, and it's not going to get challenged by anybody. Like who's going to hold them to account? Like Judge Janine, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there is nobody to like hold these people to account when they do lie. And so as the right-wing media ecosystem continues to grow and people stay insulated in there, really he can say whatever he wants in terms of trying to get credit for things he hasn't done, and vice versa. He doesn't have to take the blame for anything that he has done.
Yeah, I don't know how that's done, but there has to be a way for people to see the impacts of what people do. Like that has to be felt. But there are people that I've argued with. Even on one of these spaces, there was a woman that came in and spoke about how important it was that I think it was her husband, had like diabetes medication and that he could switch insurance or whatever. And I was like, I think I tried to get her to admit, like, are you grateful that Obama passed the ACA? A lot of people, I guess younger people might not remember this, but like you were literally enslaved to your job if you got diagnosed with a chronic condition, because you couldn't switch because you wouldn't be able to get new insurance. You were like, yeah. I had a boss like this who was a type 1 diabetic, and I always asked him because he hated it. He was a McDonald's supervisor. He was a night shift supervisor, Mike. And I always asked him, like, why the fuck are you still here? You hate this job. And he's like, I got type 1 diabetes, dude. Like, if I switch, I'm fucked. I'm never getting health insurance again. And I'm like, yeah, that's not a problem anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. That problem was fixed. But now you see Trump, who came in on repeal and replace, right? That was only saved by McCain's vote, and then only failed in the Supreme Court because Trump was so vexatious trying to get rid of it that he didn't follow the right process or procedure. Actually, that was DACA. I don't know if he could get rid of if he could rescind all of the ACA now.
Yeah, and it's not any better that Trump wants to gut Medicare. You know, now he's just gonna undo everything that has been going on, that has been helping the American people.
But like, if now Donald Trump is trying to say like, oh, actually, I like pre-existing conditions. I like that part. I could be wrong, but at one point they might have even been trying to take credit for it. But how does that narrative flip? How's that possible?
Yeah, because the ecosystem that he exists within is unquestioning, and so you can say whatever you want, and they'll just line up behind him. And it's not like they have longstanding principles. Look, this is a party, like on the longstanding principles aspect of it, this is a party that for decades, claimed to be party of family values. Now they're lining up behind a guy who was just convicted of 34 felony crimes for, related to hush money payouts for an affair he had while his wife was at home with their infant son. Mm-hmm. And this is a party that beat their chest about states' rights, and they all signed up to support that 2020 Texas lawsuit that sought to invalidate the election results in 4 other states. And the first thing that they did when Roe fell, by the way, was you had Lindsey Graham, who introduced a nationwide ban on abortion. This is after they were claiming states' rights for years and years and years. We want this to go back to the states. First thing Lindsey Graham did was, I think it was like a 12-week ban or a 16-week ban.
Yeah.
So like, fiscal responsibility, they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. They're the pro-Constitution party. They were the first party that prevented the peaceful transfer of power in 200 years. So whatever the branding is, like that's not stopped any of them. Mm-hmm. And so this will be no different.
Yeah, they're very morally flexible. I haven't thought enough about where that comes from, but all of that has been changed. But I mean, like, you saw people do this in the most shameless way too. Like, you bring up Lindsey Graham. Wasn't he one of the guys that explicitly said, now listen, okay, we're not going to give anybody a Supreme Court pick this close to election. If it comes up for Trump, we're not going to do it for him either. Well, and then he did it exactly for him. And it's like, okay, well, yeah. So these people are shameless.
Like, look, the only thing worse than the Republicans doing that is that the Democrats.
So there we have it, you guys. We have Brian Tyler Cohen and Destiny, calling out the buffoonery in the Trump administration and what hopefully doesn't, but probably will go on in the next 4 years. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's another day in the progressive way.